Picked up well by Collins. Space on the right for Vata. McLaughlin inside him. Now it goes outside. There's Kenny Black bringing a very good challenge. Well-timed tackle. So here's Vata now with the throw for Celtic. McLaughlin sends over a good cross. That's awkward. Jimmy Boyle scrambles the ball away, but only as far as McKinlay. That's for Van Hooijdonk. Great header! And Celtic are ahead! Pierre Van Hooijdonk scores his 8th goal in Celtic colours and sets the cup final alight. This has been typical of the Celtic play so far because the views on either side well. Josh McKinlay gets in a tremendous cross there. Van Hooijdonk gets up brilliantly, meets it perfectly, really gives the goalkeeper no chance, but Celtic have used both flanks very well in the early stages, and obviously Van Hooijdonk there has shown the threat that he possesses. Tremendous start for Celtic. A perfect start for Sandison. Picked up well by Collins. Space on the right for Vata. McLaughlin inside him. Now it goes outside. There's Kenny Black bringing a very good challenge. Well-timed tackle. So here's Vata now with the throw for Celtic. McLaughlin sends over a good cross. That's awkward. Jimmy Boyle scrambles the ball away, but only as far as McKinlay. That's for Van Hooijdonk. Great header! And Celtic are ahead! Pierre Van Hooijdonk scores his 8th goal in Celtic colours and sets the cup final alight. This has been typical of the Celtic play so far because the views on either side well. Josh McKinlay gets in a tremendous cross there. Van Hooijdonk gets up brilliantly, meets it perfectly, really gives the goalkeeper no chance, but Celtic have used both flanks very well in the early stages, and obviously Van Hooijdonk there has shown the threat that he possesses. Tremendous start for Celtic. A perfect start for Celtic, and their huge support brought to life by that outstanding header from Pierre Van Hooijdonk. The delivery from McKinlay was superb. And now Airdrie have a real problem. The goal coming after just 9 minutes. Well, it was a very poor clearance from Brian McLaughlin's initial cross, which allowed McKinlay to send it across, and Graham had no answers to Van Hooijdonk there for the high ball. Van Hooijdonk was looking forward tremendously to this occasion. One of the reasons he came to Scotland to join Celtic was that he hoped to be involved in occasions like this frequently, and then of course in European football after that. And that's what a win on either side this afternoon would mean. The place in the European Cup with his cup next season. Well, Tommy Bond certainly taking nothing for granted. Instructions coming from him and from Billy Stark. Strong tackle there by Black on McStay. Came off McStay last, so Airdrie have possession. Well, this has the prospect really of opening out the final. Well, that's right. Obviously, I think wanted to contain Celtic in the early stages of it, but they've got no option to come out and get something back. But Celtic, really, in fairness, I think were entitled that ever go because they started to miss it. They used both flanks very well. They've had some good crosses in, and obviously the threat that Van Hooijdonk possesses appeared there, and they got the goal. But I think it's no more than they deserve for the good start. Now Celtic have to defend though against this Airdrie corner kick. Harvey trying to find a suitable piece of land. Is just outside the quarter circle, but no exception is taken. There was a problem there for Bonner. There was no free kick there. He thinks he was fouled. The referee doesn't agree. So that was a chance for Airdrie.
Well, they do possess this threat there. We've got a couple of big lads here, and really I don't think Pat Bonner can complain there. He was always short of the cross, and really could have no complaints about that decision. Pat
Bonner, one of three survivors from the Celtic 1990 Cup final side, along with Peter Grant and Paul McStay. Was the match lost on penalty kicks to Aberdeen. And Hooijdonk holding off Hay. Brought down by Smith. And there's trouble here for Kenny Black. He drove the ball against Van Hooijdonk on the ground, and referee Mottom is taking action here. Well, you can see he's not impressed by that decision, but it was a foolish act on the part of Black. Andy Smith was the original culprit. The yellow card is for Black. It's a Celtic's free kick. This gives Celtic the opportunity now to relax and put some passes together. They know their supporters will be totally relieved about that opening goal, and the pressure should be relieved somewhat. This is McLaughlin switching to the left. Steve Cooper back deep inside his own half, fouled as he tried to play that forward, so Airdrie have a free kick. Well, Steve Cooper, a man who is playing for his 11th club, joining Airdrie at the age of 29, Birmingham, Halifax, Mansfield, Newport, Plymouth, Barnsley, Tranmere, Peterborough, Wigan, and then York before coming here in October of '94. Now McKinlay. Asking rather a lot with that attempt to play the ball up the line. So throw to Airdrie, and food for thought for Alec MacDonald on the Airdrie bench. Discussion there with John Binney. Helped on by Grant. Fouled by Donnelly, leading into Jack, turning him off the ball. The youngest player in the field, Simon Donnelly, just 20 years old. The youngest player on the Airdrie side is Andy Smith at 26 and a half, so a very experienced lineup. Led in by Boyle. Slightly misjudged by McNally, but he got just enough on that. Back with Black. Tom Boyd's clearing header. This is Black. Hay takes over. Slaughtered behind by McNally for the goal kick. Graham Hay getting some instructions there from the bench. Tough task looking after Pierre Van Hooijdonk this afternoon. Shutouts in 24 matches this season until today for Pat Bonner. Flick on by McLaughlin, that's Hay. McNally getting to the pitch of the ball as early as he could there, to turn it away. Airdrie trying to force their way back into the match quickly. Don't want Celtic to settle on the lead. Handball by Van Hooijdonk. Stand side linesman John Fleming drawing out the attention of the referee. Sandison with a free kick. Well won by McKinlay. Donnelly's header to Grant. Paul Jack very quick getting back there. Sandison again trying the long ball aimed for Steve Cooper. Well, seeking out the front two early, always Jimmy Sandison. Boyd header again. There's Sandison breaking. Harvey outpaced comfortably there by Boyd. A huge asset at the back. Boyd's immense pace. There's Boyle, well tackled by McKinlay. Grant now leads the counter-attack. That's for Donnelly. Sandison getting back there. Well, Sandison made no contact at all with the ball there, and Simon Donnelly claiming the advantage rule should have been applied. Oh, a remarkable challenge that by Sandison.
It was initially a good pass from Peter Grant, but I can't believe it. I think what he was trying to do was go for the ball and bring it back with him. But I think the referees looked wrong to stop the play there, because the advantage definitely went to Celtic.
Well, Simon Donnelly clearly frustrated there, but the free kick will now be taken by John Collins. Misunderstanding in the box there between Vata and Hooijdonk. The far post area was vacant when the ball arrived. Donnelly and McStay in a tackle there with each other. Grant's long ball kept in play here by John Martin. Martin, one of 6 survivors from the 1992 Cup winner side for Airdrie. Along with Jimmy Boyle, Paul Jacks, Andy Stewart, Alan Lawrence and Andy Smith, who came on as sub and scored an excellent goal. Collins played it long, he's caught late by Andy Smith. Collins recovers quickly. It's Boyle. Well, McNally had lots of time there. He didn't get a call to turn that back to his goalkeeper. I thought he might have had. Harvey pushing forward more and more now for Airdrie from midfield to join the front two. And Hooijdonk penalised, I think correctly there, barging into hay while the ball was in the air. Graham Hay had to take holidays from his full-time employment to prepare for the final. Sandison directing traffic. We'll give it Cooper, and Cooper guilty of pinning down McNally while the ball was in the air. If we can tell from that, he doesn't agree.
Oh, that's right, you can see him grappling with Mark McNally there, and really, he's got no real chance of getting that ball cleanly, and he's upset for nothing really.
Slightly mistimed jump there by Hay, but he's enough there to concede the throw. Now you have the feeling here that the next goal would have a huge bearing on the game. If Celtic could get a second goal and build up that cushion, they may well go on to a comfortable performance, whereas Airdrie could change things dramatically if they could snatch an equaliser. They won't lack anything in terms of determination and courage. No free kick there as Boyd stands up to Cooper. And there's going to be more trouble for an Airdrie player here. Les Mottram, the referee, having words with Jimmy Boyle. He's given a free kick to Celtic. A clash with Collins. Boyd has Van Hooijdonk with the target up front in the inside right channel. McStay strong and determined. Away from Black. Clumsy touch there, under pressure, conceding the goal kick. Certainly looks to be a new man now, Billy. Had some troubles earlier in the season after that Coca-Cola Cup defeat, but he really seems to be back to normal.
Well, that's right. He's a very proud person, and obviously he's out to prove all his critics wrong. But what's helped now here in actual fact is the fact, the Celtic are stretching the game. They're pulling Brian McLaughlin very wide on one side, John Collins on the other. It's allowing a whole big area in that midfield area there, and I think it's difficult for Kenny Black and Andy Smith to deal with. And Paul McStay, with his energy and his restless ability to run at the opposition, is getting lots and lots of room.
Cooper's header was a good one. Harvey was caught late there. That's a free kick. Very quick feet, Paul Harvey. Excellent close control. Collected that brilliantly from Cooper's header. It was caught late by Boyle. So Airdrie have the free kick. The big men are up. Hay joining Smith and Cooper. Boyle lights it in, and Neil Cooper colliding there with Paul McStay. Well, the ball was in the air. Cooper thinks he was fouled, so does Alec MacDonald. Well, I wonder what the replay shows here.
There's a possibility there. I've seen penalty kicks given for less than that in the past, but in fairness to Leslie Morton, was up with play, good clear sight of the whole thing, and saw nothing untoward.
Clear message there is Steve Cooper to say no more. He certainly aggrieved the Englishman up front. He's not happy at all, the Airdrie centre forward. Bonner wants some movement. Peter Grant in the centre circle is telling him to get on with it. There's Black. By McStay. Alec MacDonald very unhappy indeed about the refereeing. That's the clear indication there. Boyle going around the back of McNally there. It broke from Lawrence. The spin will keep the ball in play, I think. Well, turned out eventually by Lawrence. There's plenty of movement down there on both benches. Neither management teams entirely happy, Billy.
No, that's right. I think from Airdrie's point of view, their game plan obviously involves Paul Harvey quite a bit, that he drops off from the front tube, picks up balls in midfield, and because Airdrie haven't had an awful lot of possession, they haven't been able to get the ball to it, because really they look for Alan Lawrence making those breaks in behind defenders, and without a decent pass or two they haven't managed that. But Celtic started well, but just at the last 5 minutes or so the game's become a bit scrappy.
Good play from Airdrie. There's Lawrence. Good block by Bonner. Superb football there in the build-up. And the offside flag halting any further progress, but Alan Lawrence there released by a magnificent piece of play involving Cooper and Harvey in the build-up. Celtic were opened up all right.
Almost spoke too soon there, because no sooner had I said that than we got a good pass, and Alan Lawrence showed his ability there. Good save by Pat Bonner.
Stewart's clearance. Harvey can't reach that. That's McNally returning the ball. Well, Donnelly's the player penalised. A bit of jostling there while the ball was in the air. Still a little bit scrappy and untidy in the middle of the field. So here's Sandison again with that long flighted ball, looking for Steve Cooper's head. Stewart back to Black. Stewart well forward again. This is Lawrence. Taken out there by McNally. He'll be booked for that. A rash challenge, and perhaps reflecting a timing problem a player can have after a lengthy layoff from top team duty.
Well, I think there is that, but it's really slight defending, because Alan Lawrence is not really going anywhere in that position. If he runs alongside him, ushers him to that byline, he wouldn't have been in any difficulty.
There's Lawrence again. It's a good spell from Airdrie. Headed away by Vata. It's Collins, who hasn't really been much involved in the play so far. That's a tribute to the Airdrie tactics. Goal kick to Celtic.
A little bit of discussion going on among the players at the back. There's Pat Bonner having words with Rudy Vata.
Well, Vata playing at right back, hadn't played in the first team this season until the month of March, and he's only missed a couple of starts since then, coming out as substitute.
There's grouped around that centre circle for Bonner's kick out.
Hooijdonk going to touch on. That's Sandison again, trying to make full use of the aerial power and the strength of Steve Cooper with these long balls from back to front, with the quick men around like Lawrence and the quick feet of Harvey to support him. A very important player to Airdrie, Steve Cooper.
Good play from McStay. This is McLaughlin. Collins wide on the left.
Target there was Donnelly. Nimble play again from Sandy Stewart.
Won well by Grant. The pass finds Van Hooijdonk offside.
Very close indeed though. Good tackle, started that off from Peter Grant.
It was a good job from Peter Grant here, and quickly looks up, and I'm not convinced that Van Hooijdonk was offside.
Well, clearly from that 18-yard line replay camera, not offside. Looking up the linesman though, this is Lawrence running straight into Vata. McStay takes over. McLaughlin has been given a roving commission. McStay couldn't get there in time. Celtic's throw though. Well, interesting attacking options for both sides, with the big centre forward and the small man playing off him. Donnelly doing that with Van Hooijdonk for Celtic, and Lawrence with Cooper for Airdrie. Vata to Van Hooijdonk. There's Kenny Black, not enough space there on the flank. Well, one of the important aspects of the match, Billy, surely was for Celtic to match Airdrie's commitment. They seem to have done that quite well.
Well, I think certainly, for me, Celtic looked the more committed team in the early stage, and it's only really in the last 5 minutes or so that Airdrie's really got to grips with the game. And I think that was, Celtic found it comparatively easy to find the spaces on the pitch. Airdrie have now started to shut those spaces down. Alec McDonald's been out there duggout telling his players to tighten up, to allow Jimmy Sandison to play free at the back, and that's what's obviously made the game that little bit scrappy at this present time.
So Rudy Vata takes this free kick. Tosh McKinlay calls the ball over on the far side. Jimmy Boyle's the marker for John Collins. He certainly has kept the Scotland midfield star quiet so far in the match. That's Collins though. And McNally. Van Hooijdonk. Donnelly. Well, just no one at all in that far side of the box for Celtic. By no means a bad ball from Simon Donnelly, an out-swinging cross from that area, which took the goalkeeper out. So further instructions from Tommy Barnes. Unorthodox from Boyd, but effective. Giving up his knee there. This is Paul McStay.
Good running by McKinlay.
Strong challenge made there by Sandy Stewart on Brian McLaughlin. Ricochet gives the throw to Airdrie. It'll be taken by Jimmy Boyle, who knows every blade of grass in this pitch, having played for Queen's Park for 5 years before joining Airdrie. Smith caught there by Tosh McKinley's boot. Dangerous play, an indirect free kick to Airdrie. So Andy Smith makes his way into the penalty box. Use his aerial power beside Cooper. Jimmy Boyle fighting that in. Handed away by McNally to Sandison. A great effort on the volley. Well, it will be a tremendous occasion to score your first goal of the season. That's what Sandison was trying to do there.
He's in the perfect position to pick up this clearance, and really strikes his shot as well as he would expect to. Just off the target, but I do have the feeling that Pat Bonner had that cover.
There's Aaron Lawrence. Helping out wide for Boyle, advantage will applied. Awkward for McStay, he needed help from Boyd. Sandison trying to play football from the back there. Graham Hay back to the high ball forward. It's Lawrence underneath that. There's Black. Trying to pick out a striker with that lofted pass forward. Kenny Black not happy at all. Well, Eric McDonald, the Airdrie manager, thoroughly agitated down below us. He really is not at all happy with his team's performance in this first half. So Airdrie trying to win enough possession to create and cause problems for Celtic. Celtic for the moment looking very comfortable in this lead. Sandy Stewart's header goes straight to Collins. He's immediately challenged by Boyle. Donnelly to McLaughlin. Now McKinlay. Collins has gone inside. That's good running by McKinlay. That's great play by Tosh McKinlay. You could see the defenders reluctant to tackle him inside the box as he made for the byline.
It was a good run by Tosh McKinlay here, but at one stage John Collins got himself free and he was expecting it, and I think Tosh McKinlay was prepared to use him as a decoy.
Dangerous ball flashed across the 6-yard box there. Steve Cooper was the player back defending for Airdrie. Easing that back to Martin. McNally's header. There's no offside. Donnelly was coming back, having closed down John Martin in goal. Now John Martin comprehensively beaten by Pierre van Hooijdonk's splendid header in 9 minutes, but that apart, not trouble too often. Lawrence turned it away, so it's a throw to Celtic. There are indications in the Celtic ranks they're really quite happy with this one-goal lead. There's no real urgency about taking set pieces and throws, and I wonder, Billy, if that is the correct approach.
Well, I think undoubtedly they're trying to take the sting out of the game. They've got the early goal, they've got that cushion. They want to settle the game down, start making passes, start getting a bit of width about the game again. But Airdrie are pushing up now. They're trying to get their game plan in order, and they're pushing up, they're having a go, and Celtic will find it difficult just at this minute to get the passing game going.
Pierre van Hooijdonk has gone down to the far side of the field. He appears to require treatment. That's why Pat Bonner has launched the ball out. So the big Dutchman waits for some attention here from Brian Scott, the Celtic physio. Well, the pace at which Brian Scott approaches suggests he's hoping, I think, the big centre forward will recover by the time he gets there. And that appears to be the case. Well, difficult times for the Airdrie supporters. Coming here with real hopes of cup final success. Graham Hay has a problem with a contact lens. The physio Ian Constable is there to help him replace the lens. Celtic supporters cautiously optimistic, I think, at this stage that things are going the way they want. So referee Mottram comes across to check if Graham Hay has managed to replace the lens. Well, as I can tell you, it's not a thing to be doing in a hurry. Let's hope it doesn't start his eyes watering as they are replaced for a little time. He's ready to resume. Well, one certainty I think here is that referee Mottram will add on all additional time. He certainly broke the record at the World Cup in the United States last year, adding 13 minutes to one World Cup match involving Nigeria. There is some anxiety, I think, about Pierre van Hooijdonk's capacity to continue in the match. Celtic substitutes are warming up, and it looks as though Pierre van Hooijdonk is going to be withdrawn. Seems to have damaged the muscle in the hamstring area. And Willie Faulkner is being prepared for action. Donnelly caught there by Jack. It's a free kick to Celtic. McKinlay forward. Here's Donnelly. McStay under pressure from Black. Sandison's clearance. Lawrence is on his own for Airdrie up front at the moment. That's a good turn to wait for support. Black helps it on. Here's Sandison well forward. Now Stewart. Under pressure there. Here's McLaughlin. Misunderstanding there with Peter Grant, I think. Sandy Stewart doing very well for Airdrie. It's the Airdrie throw. Lawrence again. Vata to Van Hooijdonk. The touch was clumsy. It may well be his last involvement in the play. The Dutch striker is being withdrawn. So off goes Pierre Van Hooijdonk, the man who scored that splendid opening goal in 9 minutes. And he is replaced by Willie Faulkner. He scored for Aberdeen in the 1987 League Cup final, but finished on the losing side. McStay's challenge. There's Ryan McLaughlin. Well, it's a flatter spell in the match from the Celtic point of view at this stage, going towards half-time. Pierre Van Hooijdonk may well have done enough to earn the Cup Winners' Medal. Donnelly's pass collected here by Sandy Stewart. Lawrence. Away from Vata. Harvey inside. Hoping, I think, to catch Lawrence in the continued run from the left. Very nimble and elusive up front, Lawrence.
Yeah, bit by bit, Airdrie crept into the game, and we see Alan Lawrence here. He's looking to pick up Harvey, and they've started to get a little bit of space just outside the Celtic penalty area, and that must be disconcerting for Tommy Burns.
Well, it's all had the effect of quietening down the Celtic support who are enjoying the opening quarter of this match, but I don't think they're quite so contented now. The Airdrie ball once again. Well, this cup final is very much alive. Airdrie are in this with a chance still, without question. Alec MacDonald checks his watch to see how long there is to half time. Stewart's throw. Boyle at the back. Paul McStay has gone down injured. He's taken a knock, I think, from which you expect him to recover. McLaughlin goes wandering, gets the break of the ball off Cooper. Here's Tosh McKinlay. The aerial threat now comes from Faulkner. He's got into the Van Hooijdonk roll. There's Vata. Donnelly ahead. Well challenged by Jack. Right, switches the play. That's good play from Celtic. Here's Tosh McKinlay. And Jimmy Sandison spotted the threat coming there from a former Hearts teammate. Stewart Cooper winning that from Boyle. Grant was quick enough to get there ahead of Lawrence. Calm play there from Pat Bonner. Now you've experienced clear again. Faulkner helps it on. Donnelly is offside. Although I suspect the referee might have given a free kick against Faulkner. This was certainly went quickly.
It was an interesting aspect because Jimmy Sanderson had ventured forward when that happened and he was out of position, so every defender's wisely just stepped out. There you are, you can see he's clearly gone offside.
And the player now receiving treatment is the Celtic captain Paul McStay. Damaged right arm. That's the problem. Perhaps requiring some reassurance from Brian Scott that there's no significant damage. So a free kick to be taken by the Airdrie captain, Jimmy Sandison. Smith got a touch on. McNally in good position though for Celtic. That's McStay. Faulkner beaten by Hay. This is McLaughlin. Retains possession very well indeed. There's McLaughlin. Celebrated his 21st birthday this month. Giving that away though. Here's Donnelly. Now McLaughlin. Once again, the most persistent criticism of Brian McLaughlin is his final pass in wide positions, and there's real justification for that criticism.
It's real careless defending, and Simon Donnelly spots Brian McLaughlin. Lovely little ball inside, but a wasted final pass eventually.
Stay in black. Tough collision again. Both players acknowledging the other was going for the ball, fair and square, and there's no malice at all. Faulkner using his strength to hold off Hay. Harvey nips the ball away from Paul McStay. Sounds not attractive football at the moment, but it's a very important phase in the final. Closing stages of the first half. Airdrie have the decision this time, and Graham Hay still in a little bit of trouble with that left eye. So we're into injury time at the end of the first half. There's been quite a bit of that. The game could go on sometime yet before the interval. That's a good turn by Stewart. He was caught by McLaughlin, and that was down to the clever play of Sandy Stewart. That's what produced that bad tackle from McLaughlin. So a chance for Airdrie late in the first half to equalise on this free kick. And Mark McNally got a very important touch there, but still the pressure remains on the Celtic defence. And Airdrie really have done extremely well to force their way back into this match after that early setback provided by Van Hooijdonk's goal. Paul Harvey will take this. Queuing up for the header there, and Pat Bonner stayed in his line. It's another corner kick. Well, they were queuing up there, and Bonner took the decision to stay on his goal line. He might have been punished for that.
They do have this threat there, and they're not, Big Andy Smith's not all that far away from getting a good header on target there.
Here's Kenny Black. Near Paul
This ball won well by Faulkner. There's Donnelly. Now Vata. That's a good pass from McLaughlin. He's on his own for the moment. Needs support through the middle. Jimmy Sandison trying to slow him down there. And once again, McLaughlin's final pass lets him down. Another chance here to cause some problems. More orthodox ball. Grant looking there for Vata. Almost a good ball, that. Vata well forward, supporting the attack. So we've had a couple of minutes now of stoppage time, and there could be more of that. Referee Mottram allows the play to continue as Lawrence chases. Boyd makes sure he can't get the ball across, but Lawrence has done well to earn another corner kick. It's a good closing spell from Airdrie in the first half. Back now with Boyle. That's towards Cooper, and again McNally did well, matching him with a header. Black again. Andy Smith has gone up front, looking for the throw. Back to Black with a quick cross. Faulkner back defending. Celtic were very happy to hear the half-time whistle. Here's Andy Smith. Stay to Donnelly. He's tackled from the back by Sandy Stewart. There won't be time for the free kick. The half-time whistle is gone. That good spell from Airdrie has not produced an equaliser. At half-time, it's Airdrie 0, Celtic 1.
Yeah, it's been a good finishing spell to the first half from Airdrie, because all credit to them, they've fought their way back into the game. They've started to find one or two spaces in and around the Celtic penalty area, and they've started to indicate to Celtic that by no means is this cup won yet.
So the cup final still very much alive, and you have the feeling that a lot more drama to come before the end. Airdrie will have more belief after that good closing spell in the first half, but it's Celtic who've made the vital breakthrough through Pierre van Hooijdonk, who's now off injured, and it's Celtic who have the vital lead.
Yes, an all action first half, certainly. Just the one goal, Pierre van Hooijdonk's after just 9 minutes. Let's get the impressions after 45 minutes of Willie Miller and Alex McLeish. What did you think, Willie?
Well, I thought that with Celtic getting the goal so early, it would settle them down and they'd be able to get into a rhythm and start playing, but I feel it's had the opposite effect, actually. In fact, it spurred Airdrie on to actually put in a very good first half performance, I feel. Perhaps Celtic have put together the more passes, but Airdrie certainly have caused them a lot of problems. And as the first half has went on, they've thrown a lot of balls into the box, and Celtic are going to have to defend these crosses. They're going to have to defend them well, otherwise we could have a real tight game here.
And yet it's the perfect starter. You can't ask for much more than a goal in the first 10 minutes.
Well, it was the usual Celtic whirlwind start, wasn't it? And they certainly opened up play. The two strikers dragging the markers wide. And Celtic have been playing a very tight and compact back four, making it difficult for Airdrie to get behind them. But I thought that's what caused the Airdrie problems early part of the game. The fact that the two strikers played very wide. And Alec McDonald will be raging with his defenders for not handling the Tosh McKinlay cross. It's a great goal from Hooijdonk, and if he never scores another goal in his life for Celtic and this is the winner, he'll have lifted a great shadow from Celtic football.
As you say, Airdrie do man mark. They were picking up 7-8 men at the beginning, but McKinlay, as we saw early on, was left and was able to get in those dangerous crosses. The first example came very early on and very nearly produced an opening goal within the first 5 minutes. So this is McKinlay getting forward there, and again the warning signs were there, really, weren't they?
Yeah, I think it's always a problem with Tosh McKinlay. You've really got to get him back the park, because he can deliver good balls like that from set pieces, and that was another tremendous opportunity there for McNally to score, and he's probably disappointed with himself that he hasn't put it in target there, puts it by the post. But the way Airdrie are playing, then Celtic are going to find space in the wide areas for Vata and McKinlay. Unless Airdrie gets someone out to Tosh McKinlay, then he's going to cause them problems, because definitely when he gets forward he can whip in some tremendous crosses.
You're feeling great because you said he'd be a key man, aren't you?
Picked him out for us.
Picked him out superbly, aye. Yeah.
We've sometimes criticised Pierre van Hooijdonk for not getting into the middle often enough. He does tend to drift wide an awful lot, but he was in the right place at the right time, obviously, today.
Certainly was. He wasn't found wanting on that occasion, and it's a brilliant goal, and it's a superb finish by the big fella. Is this it coming up here? See Tosh again, Roman as he does in that left flank. Superb cross, but I feel it's a defender's cross ball. Pierre's got away from the marker, he's made the run on top of him, standing jump Graham Hay, and he'll be disappointed. He's standing really. You see Hooijdonk drifting off him, making the run, getting a couple of feet above him. It's a great header.
Yeah, Hay, I suppose, is coming off a standing jump, which is what makes it difficult.
He's actually moving backwards, and Van Hooijdonk's moving forward, and his momentum's taking him over the top of Hay there. But that'll be a lesson for Hay. You've really got to make sure that the attacker doesn't get a clear header at the ball. If you don't think you're going to win it yourself, then you've got to do everything to try and put him off, as Alec will probably tell you, because he made a career out of doing it.
Look at Manos, Dougie, but shame man, this is my bad side. The next season have me sitting on the other side, and if Motherwell don't get to the cup final.
Now, while all this was going on, as you said, Willie, you'd look for Celtic maybe to settle down. They've got the goal, the fans are obviously thrilled about it, but Airdrie immediately came back at them and wouldn't let them settle.
That's right, and really the only one that I feel has put his foot in the ball and been influential in the midfield area is young McLaughlin. I feel that he's been doing an awful lot. He's been drifting from side to side, he's been going deep, he's been fetching and carrying, and again the only problem with him is once he gets into the penalty box, his final ball has been poor today, and he'll be disappointed with that. But I would expect McStay and Collins to be more influential, and I think Tommy will be saying to them this half, look, used to loads of experience, you're going to have to go out there, you're going to have to get your foot in the ball, you're going to have to pass this ball for us. At present it's just McLaughlin that's doing that.
Airdrie had a corner which Packy Bono had some problems with, Alec, which I think we can see here as they try to force themselves back into the game. Paul Harvey, who I think is the most skillful man on the side.
Yeah, Packy's committed himself to coming for it. He's not quite got there. There's a lot of bodies there, and it's often difficult for the goalies. But he'll feel that it's one that he should have at least got his fist on. If the goalie's coming, I believe he's got to get it. But he's been bundled a wee bit, possibly by his own defender.
Yeah.
But Paul Harvey, for me, he's a very skillful player, but not really seen enough of him from Airdrie's point of view. He's very tight out there, and both midfields are cancelling each other out.
Alan Lawrence, he's called Nipper, and he is nippy. He's very, very quick and causes you problems. And in fact, a great chance to make it 1-1, Willie, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right. He is very quick. He's very sharp, and Airdrie have drifted Cooper out into a wide area to get flick-ons for Lawrence to run onto. But that's a very good ball through there from Harvey. It is a real chance here. Good save by Bonner, but you know, just the movement of it. It's an early ball from the back, which I think would help Airdrie if they could get more early balls up for the aerial threat up front, and looking for Nipper to get on the end of any flick-ons as he does here. Difficult chance. It looks more difficult when you see it on the screen than you did when you saw it live, but you know, it shows you the threat that he's got, making the runs in behind the Celtic defence.
Absolutely. In fact, it was a good save by Packy Bonner when you see him getting down to it.
Good save.
He took it well.
And Donnelly, you know, coming in and playing with Hooijdonk, as we mentioned before the game, the big chap, little chap striker situation. He's looked sharp, he's looked bright, and I played against him in a reserve game a couple of weeks ago. I don't know whether that clinched his final place, but I'll tell you what, he nearly beat me once as well. But no, he's had a great end of the season, and you know, I think he's justifying his selection at the moment.
Yeah. Jimmy Sandison doesn't score many goals. I don't think he's scored any this season. He tends to play far too far back for that. But he did have a nice volley, Willie, which just might have done the trick.
Yeah, it was. I mean, he caught it very well. Again, a long high ball in, and that's going to cause Celtic problems. But he really does catch it for 30 yards there, and it just goes by the post. But I do think Bonner had that one well covered. But it's worth a try. As Big Alec showed you in one of the cup finals, I can't remember which one. As Big Alec can score from outside the box, and I'm sure Jimmy Sandison can score from outside the box.
Just at that end as well, I seem to remember, wasn't it?
Yeah,
into the postage stamp corner.
It was yesterday, yeah.
Now, Alan Lawrence, again, we've talked about it, the combination that he and Harvey can put a lot of pressure on defences, and again, another example of Lawrence's pace causing problems.
Well, both guys like the ball on the ground. Nipper showed great feet here, lovely little nutmeg on Vata. He won't want to see that one again. Harvey, as you see, running away from the ball, getting away from his defender, who's now been attracted to the ball. And we seem to have lost it at that point, Dougie. Here we see it from behind the goals, the nutmeg.
I think he's shown good vision. I mean, we do talk about his pace and his running ability, but there, you saw the skill factor coming into it as well.
A wee bit of intelligence as well. It's a great ball, and Harvey's tried the reverse pass, which didn't quite come off. But that's the type of football Airdrie are going to have to play if they want to unlock the defence.
Brian McLaughlin, you mentioned, Willie, such a skillful player, he beats players so easily, but the final ball really is a problem for Celtic, isn't it?
It's a problem for Brian, yeah. I mean, I've saw him playing a few times this season, and it has been really influential. He gets influential in games, he gets that free roll, he drifts about, there's no doubt about his ability, his skill factor, he's dangerous when he runs it at people and runs at defences, but when he gets into these positions, that's the type of ball that he puts in. Perhaps it's a case for him, maybe every now and again, just to blast the thing across the face of the goal, although I think in that one there it was on to clip it towards the back post, but you know, he's maybe trying to be just too precise with his pass.
Yeah, he did make it easy for the goalkeeper, I think.
We're not trying to improve, Dick. I think every player is trying to make himself better, and Brian will work at that. I'm sure that he'll get better at it, because there's a whole lot of his other game is very good.
Yeah, I think Tommy Burns gave us a great quote after, I think it was the Dundee United game a couple of weeks ago, when he says he's like Danny McGrain, he gets a nosebleed when he gets into the box. And there's a little bit of that about him, isn't
The
there?
only problem is Danny was a fullback. I think there's a difference. I think if you've got a forward player like McLaughlin, you'd want him to do better.
Sure.
Danny McGrain getting in the box gets a nosebleed. Well, I've played with a lot of fullbacks that do that, but you can accept that from a fullback,
Sure.
but not from someone that you're looking to create chances. And I think that Tommy's maybe says that light-heartedly, but I'm sure he'll be working on that and trying to improve McLaughlin's final pass.
Yeah, because it's a real weakness in what is otherwise a very impressive game.
Very impressive game, very impressive young up-and-coming youngster.
Yeah.
I think the term you used the other day, when I met you a few days ago, you called him the jigsaw. He goes to pieces when he gets into the box.
We're giving poor Brian McLaughlin all sorts of
No, hey, I told you, he's a key man for me. He's a key man for me.
Now, what about the other end? Again, the cross ball, and Andy Smith this time, Alec, coming very close to getting the equaliser right on half-time.
It was a great opportunity for Airdrie to equalise. Packy came slightly, then decided it wasn't his ball. Celtic defence haven't really handled it very well. A couple of them getting under it, and Andy Smith, who's an awkward big guy at the best of times anyway, has made a great run in it. Cooper, the three of them attacked it. Hay, it's finally come off. Smith, only a Celtic defender out for the corner.
I think there's nothing worse as a defender, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, Alec, is when you're in there and you're facing your own goal, and the goalkeeper makes 2 steps to come for the ball, you switch off. As a defender, you switch off and you think, well, he's coming to take that, and then all of a sudden he stops and he goes back towards his line, so it just puts you off and it gives you advantage to Airdrie, and it could have been costly.
We love goalkeepers, well, I don't.
Just a quick word from you both, because I didn't ask either of you a prediction earlier. Do you see Celtic hanging on, Willie?
I would have said before the game, if you'd asked me if Celtic had got an early goal, how the game would have went, I would have thought that Celtic would have dominated the game thereafter. They haven't done that. Airdrie have actually dominated the game since Celtic scored. So it's a difficult one to predict. The only thing I would say is might be in Airdrie's favour if Celtic do get more of the ball in the Airdrie half and allow them to use Lawrence pace in behind the back four, but it's a really difficult one to shout at this moment in time.
Very quickly, Alec.
A brave man to go against Celtic. I'm going to stick with Celtic.
Right, so there we are. Let me just quickly remind you, we're still looking for your nominations for Man of the Match. Give us a call, 0891 445577. Give us a call if you can, 7755 rather, get that number right, 0891 447755. Lines open till 4:30. But the teams are out for the second half of this Tennant Scottish Cup final. Let's rejoin Billy and Jock.
Thank you, Dougie. Yes, the second half about to start, and there have been no further changes made by either side. Just Willie Faulkner for Pierre Van Hooijdonk. That apart, the subs remain on the bench. And it's Paul Harvey there with Steve Cooper, who start the second half. And it will be very interesting to see what changes may have been made tactically. There's no obvious alteration in the Celtic formation for the start of the second half. But there must be concern, I would imagine, about the fact that John Collins in particular has been so well policed by Jimmy Boyle. Paul McStay also has been matched by Kenny Black. Here's Mark McNally resisting the temptation to head back towards his goalkeeper. The free kick given against Donnelly. So a free kick which Jimmy Boyle will take, and Airdrie will be looking to start the second half the way they ended the first. This time bleep there by Cooper. This is Sandy Stewart. Towards Black, Grant to McLaughlin. Faulkner goes to the right, on the left is Donnelly, matched by the pace of Jack. Deceptively quick, Paul Jack. Wasn't going to lose that race. Back it comes to McKinlay. As McLaughlin again, starting the match on the right touchline. He's already on the left. And dropped to the ground by Jack. So the free kick has McKinlay and Collins over the ball. Collins getting some respite from Jimmy Boyle's attentions. Donnelly hoping to reach the byline there, and he's stopped by Sandison. Here's Steve Cooper. Strong defending initially by Boyd. Well, the decision goes Airdrie's way, and there will be a hold-up before the game can continue. Jimmy Sandison now has suffered an injury. The left knee is the problem. So on comes the physio, Ian Constable. And the further delay in the proceedings, it has been a stop-start kind of match so far. Hasn't been able to flow, and that really, Billy, couldn't be in the interest of Celtic to have the game stopping and starting so much.
No, that's right, but I think we're in for an interesting second half, and I do feel that Alec McDonald will be pleased with the way his team finished that first half. I think what he'll be looking for, just a little bit more, he'll be looking for Steve Cooper and Alan Lawrence to push the Celtic defenders as deep as he can, so that it allows that little bit of space just behind those front players for Paul Harvey to pick up the ball. And if he can pick it up there and start threading passes through to Alan Lawrence, then Celtic will have difficulties. Equally, they indicated in the first half that cross balls could be a problem. They've got a bit of height in the ranks, and if they get some good deliveries, then I think Celtic could be in trouble. Equally, Tommy Burns will have enforced his opinion that his players have maybe got to compete just that little bit more than they did latterly.
So anxious time still for Billy Stark and Tommy Burns there as Sandison recovers. Doesn't appear to be entirely happy yet. Airdrie throw taken there by Boyle. Harvey forward, that's Lawrence. Not enough room there to work that pass to Andy Smith. Alan Lawrence turned out to be a key man up front for Airdrie in the closing stage of that first half. Headed well against Faulkner. This is Collins. Space on the far side for Vata. McLaughlin comes short. McStay goes on the outside. And Donnelly offered himself inside, but Vata couldn't pick out any of his teammates. Well, that's been a feature of the play, the way in which Celtic have had men in good forward positions without making a good telling pass from there. Here's Peter Brandt, hustled by Smith. Vata to Donnelly, that's good play. McLaughlin, Donnelly again. Two youngsters up front combining well. That's good play by Donnelly. Aiming for McLaughlin, a dummy in the end. Here's Faulkner. Grant to Collins. McKinlay goes wide. Faulkner's headed again. It's controlled well by Jimmy Boyle. It was a pass back though. That's why it had to be taken first time by Martin. And Vata takes no chances. Kenny Black's head up. McNally had to get there ahead of Lawrence, so Celtic will be in trouble. Grant to McStay. Well, if Grant with an injury out, that hefty challenge from Kenny Black would have caused him a problem. It didn't, so he is clearly fully fit. McLaughlin taken on the back by Jack, and this time the referee will take action. Well, it certainly was a challenge from the back as Jack came in through the legs there of McLaughlin.
It's always difficult when you're in that marking role because you don't want your opponent to get the ball, but I think Paul Jack might have been better advised just to stand off that there. There's no chance of getting the ball.
There's Collins. And that was turned over by Martin. Well, John Martin appeared to react late to that. I wonder if he thought initially was going well over the top.
John Collins hasn't had a big impact in the game, but really tests the goalkeeper just to indicate that, to remind him that he can hit the ball from there.
Jimmy Boyle battling hard there with both Collins and McKinlay. Free kick goes to Airdrie, and Airdrie want to make a change. I wonder if injury has brought this about. There has been some anxiety about the injury position, but no, it is Paul Harvey who's being withdrawn. He'll not be pleased about that, I suspect. The man who won the quarter-final all on his own against Ray Bromers makes his way to the bench beyond his manager. Tony Smith has come on. Smith is pushed forward wide on the left for Airdrie, trying to stretch that Celtic defence. Donnelly did well, laying that back to Collins. Donnelly's return pass, here's Collins again, colliding with Paul Jack. Well, a little flash there of John Collins, and that must be encouraging for Celtic.
Well, John Collins has certainly made an impact, and here we see a nice little 1-2. And I suppose that's really good defending because Paul Jack stands up to the challenge. Might have been penalised outfield, but I don't think it was that serious an offence.
McNally heading it away. Throw to Airdrie. Well, that changes the pattern of play for Airdrie, that substitution. Paul Harvey had that floating role behind the front two and wasn't really making a big enough impact clearly for Alec MacDonald. Away by Boyd. Here's Smith. Trying to set up a shooting chance there for Stewart. This is Donnelly. And now Collins. Boyd. Boyle shooting Brian McLaughlin. Tony Smith, 21 years old, released by Hearts 2 years ago, replacing Paul Harvey. That's Boyd. Faulkner with Hay. Black finding Stewart. Smith wants the ball played short, but Black takes over in midfield. Good play by Stewart. Tony Smith out of luck. Played in the same Motherwell Boys Club team as Brian McLaughlin of Celtic. Headed on there by Jimmy Sandison. That's Grant. Chase here for Faulkner. He's done well to reach that. Allowed to go by Hay. Headed chance here for Collins. Totally unmarked. Well, that could have won the cup finally for Celtic. The diving header from Collins.
Yeah, it's a terrific ball into the middle there, and Jimmy Boyle was delighted because he just allowed John Collins to run into that box, and really I think John Collins will be disappointed that he didn't hit the target. Here we see him, he runs away, he's left his marker, really should have hit the target there.
Celtic's top goal scorer of the season with 12 goals, also 4 international goals for Scotland. So a very difficult time in this final, getting some freedom from Jimmy Boyle. Alan Lawrence now, the latest player, to require some attention. So once again, the flow of the play is broken up here. Well, a let off without question for Airdrie there, and Alec MacDonald will know that only too well. He'll be very disappointed with the marking. Initially, the way Willie Faulkner found space.
Yeah, that looks a sore one, doesn't it? They would miss him if he's injured and got to go off, because he does supply that little threat of pace that's often so important. But really, I think Alec MacDonald at this stage will be disappointed because his team seemed to have lost the impetus that they had in the second part of the first half.
So Lawrence happily fit to resume. Willie Faulkner's header. There's McStay. McLaughlin back to Vata. Okay, and they speed up well to that dummy from Willie Faulkner. McNally settling in now. Well, Andy Smith gesticulating there towards the referee after the throw was given to Celtic. A sort of gesture that can earn a yellow card and cause problems for the player. Another free kick. Andy Stewart was the victim of that challenge. There's Sandison taking a free kick quickly, looking for Lawrence. McNally is there. This is Smith. McStay. Good pass from defence. This is Grant. Hustled all the way by Andy Smith. Grant did well. This is McStay again. Donnelly. McKinlay. The wrestling going on between Donnelly and Jack as Jimmy Boyle turns the ball out for the throw. Simon Donnelly complaining his jersey was being held all the time there. The referee's had a quiet word with Paul Jack about that. Tackled well by Hay. Hay joined Airdrie from Clydebank in January '94 along with Paul Harvey. Good piece of business for Airdrie. Good, he'll lose it running by Donnelly. Needs some help now though. Eased out of that by Andy Smith. That's one for Smith to chase. Tony Smith, that is. And Vata did well. He had the break of the ball to help as well. Here's Brian McLaughlin. Well, he was casual as he arrived at the ball there. He certainly has had plenty of possession, the little Celtic player. And there will be another hold up here. This time it's Paul Jack who requires some assistance from the physio. Ankle damage for Paul Jack. Joined the club from Arbroath and has been an excellent servant over the past 6 years. The Celtic supporters waiting anxiously, I think, for this match to end. It hasn't been the kind of flowing performance they would have been hoping for, especially after the boost provided by Pierre van Hooijdonk's opening goal. The supporters still looking on hopefully, but let's have another look at Peter Grant in possession here under the most severe pressure from Andy Smith. Now, he didn't react badly to that, kept his eye on the ball, knew exactly where Smith was, and picked out McStay. Sandison. Apologising there to Tony Smith for the way in which that ball flew over his head. I can't imagine that Celtic will be content to allow the match to continue with this one-goal lead in this fashion. They will surely, Billy, want to take a grip of it again and dictate the play.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt about that. A one-goal lead is too fragile to sit on, and really Celtic will be wanting to develop the play, get a real stranglehold in midfield and start to get the front players involved in the game.
Tosh McKinlay's throw. Faulkner did well. This is Donnelly. Just no space at all for Donnelly or Collins. There is space now for Sandy Stewart though. It's held up there by Paul McStay, and a free kick goes against the Celtic captain, and I really share his little sense of disbelief there. Didn't appear to do very much wrong. Approaching the hour mark now. Celtic still with a vital lead. Airdrie showing growing belief that they can save the match, still win the cup. Well now, Pat Corner forced it there to come to no harm with that error of judgment. They've lost the ball in flight.
Yeah, I was just about to say that it was a wasted free kick, and Pat Bonner got himself underneath it and really gave possession back to Airdrie.
Boyle forward, there's Lawrence, won by McKinlay. Plenty of time here for Boyd. Sandison playing much further forward now, pushing into midfield. Vata's clearing header. Put up the line by McKinlay, turned away by Boyle. So John Collins waiting to take the throw, and perhaps happy to leave that to Tosh McKinlay. And Collins will certainly know Jimmy Boyle very well before the end of this match. far side. Well, Airdrie certainly battling hard. Alec MacDonald has some instructions to give. He's getting a query from Jimmy Boyle, but still not able to make a real impact up front against the Celtic defence. Bolton did well again, so did Donnelly. Chase shape of Kenny Black, he's closed down very well by McStay, and Jack made a very important tackle there in McLaughlin. Well, in goes Kenny Black, searing into that challenge, complaining he played the ball. Left McLaughlin on the seat of his pants. Kenny Black's been booked already, of course.
Yeah, he's looking a bit dangerous here. He probably does get the ball there, but it's just a little bit impetuous, and that's it. Yes, he can't afford to take a chance.
Free kick given for some pushing there by John Collins inside the area, going for the cross ball. Well, it's quiet as we've seen John Collins for some time in a major match for Celtic. And that's a tribute for Jimmy Boyle, his marker. Very determined character, former Queen's Park player. An upward bounce there, and Peter Grant took a blow in the head. Steve Cooper once played to be held up. Allowed treatment for Grant. Referee Mottram has a look. Pat Bonner has the ball at his feet, and Grant recovers. McLaughlin to Collins, good running by Faulkner. Tackle came from Sandison. Celtic have the corner. Chance for Mark McNally to go forward to join the attack. The outswinger from Collins, and it was Simon Donnelly got his head to that. And the smaller Celtic players. So the game edging on now with a little over 25 minutes remaining, and Celtic not looking, Billy, really convincing at all.
No, they're not comfortable at this stage, but equally you've got to consider that Airdrie this half really haven't posed a threat at all. They've suggested that they might want to compete in the game, and they've certainly made life an awful lot difficult for Celtic in that midfield area, but they haven't carried the threat up front, and I think Paul Harvey really wasn't getting himself involved in the game, and obviously Alec MacDonald wanted to change it and give Tony Smith a more free running player a little chance to see if he can open up that Celtic defence.
While the scoreline stays so close, worrying times for the Celtic supporters, Airdrie will certainly back it to the end. Well, the smart money suggested that had Celtic been able to get an early lead, they could have gone on to win 3 or 4-0, and if Airdrie were to win, they had to hang on and win it by the odd goal in the match. Might turn out to be wrong. Free kick to Airdrie again.
Yeah, the second half's really been punctuated with a whole lot of sort of silly and almost needless free kicks, and really it hasn't allowed for any free running at all.
So Celtic have the goal kick. Referee Mottram has spent a lot of time checking on injured players. The latest was Paul Jack, who's back on his feet without treatment. Celtic are pushed by McLaughlin much further forward now. Free kick would have got to be taken further back. Kenny Black, the culprit, booked earlier in the match and really living dangerously as we go into the tense closing stretch in the match. Here's Rudy Vata with a free kick. He wins it. McLaughlin to McStay. It's for McLaughlin again. That's very well won by Black. Sandison's clearance helped on by Tony Smith to Lawrence. Again, the pace of Boyd important to Celtic. Good pass from Black, the first time ball releasing Boyle. Lawrence wins it back from McKinlay. The throw again to Airdrie. Well, there's such a lack of conviction about the Celtic play, you wonder just what effect an equaliser from Airdrie might have on the procession of the game. Steve Cooper's header back, swept away there by Grant. There's Grant again. McLaughlin to Collins. Boyd playing it forward again. Push from Grant. Free kick to Airdrie. Graham Hay goes forward, that's why Boyle is waiting. Well, Pat Boyle has been given the free kick, challenged by Andy Smith. Decided to come a long way for that in the end, the Celtic goalkeeper.
It's really a poor quality free kick, and Pat Warner comes and takes it convincingly. There's no doubt there that was a foul. But it's a waste of a free kick. They possess a threat there, and they don't want to eliminate the goalkeeper and look for the big fellas to get a chance of headering it.
So there's Jimmy Sandison. Tony Smith strong there, running into McNally. Black pulling down Vata. The last man for Celtic is Tom Boyd. Little slip there, almost gave an opportunity to Airdrie. He's not pleased with Vata's contribution there. There's Tony Smith. Good running by Smith. And McNally steps in with the clearance. Well, Tony Smith certainly has the pace and movement on the flank to stretch Celtic. So Airdrie pushing men forward into that area. Lawrence. Off the head of Cooper. McKinlay's clearance. First to the ball is Paul Jack for Airdrie. Well, an option inside, and the skipper Jimmy Sandison tried to find Boyle. Celtic are going to make a change. They're going to bring on Phil O'Donnell. Push by Donnelly on Sandison, and his last contribution to the play, I think. The number 10 is being held up. It looks as though Donnelly is being withdrawn. So Donnelly goes off, and Phil O'Donnell goes on, looking to win his second Scottish Cup winners medal, having been in the Motherwell side in 1991 along with Tom Boyd, and he scored a goal in that match. So O'Donnell and Boyd trying to have the distinction of winning Scottish Cup winners medals for two clubs. So here's Jimmy Boyle with a throw. Lawrence comes short. McNally attacking that, so is Vata. And Steve Cooper trying the acrobatic overhead effort. A rueful smile on his face as he gets up.
It's a better quality ball into the box, but really Steve Cooper tries something there that's almost impossible, I would have thought. But that's an interesting substitution that Celtic have made. It looks to me, and it'll be interesting to see how it develops, that Ollie Faulkner's going to play a role at the middle himself, and Brian McLaughlin and John Coles are going to come from either side to allow that space in the middle for Phil O'Donnell to break into.
At this particular point, Brian McLaughlin has gone straight up front beside Faulkner, but yet another foul. The game has been punctuated by niggling fouls, especially when the ball's in the air, a little bit of jostling going on. Referee Mottram pinning them down very diligently. So another free kick. Andy Smith signalling for the ball. Put his head to that. Well cleared inside the area by Collins.
Chase on here for Hay with Faulkner.
Cooper coming for that. There's Josh McKinlay. Here's Graham Hay. Wallace did well to keep that in play. The tangle with Boyd. Good by Keeler, that allowing McKinlay to complete the clearance. For John Martin and the Airdrie goal. Boyd looks up, he sees the run made there by O'Donnell. Couldn't find him with a pass. There was a chance on there for an accurate pass. But O'Donnell playing wide on the right hand side at the moment for Celtic in midfield. There's Collins. Back by Paul Jack. Now Collins. Tangled legs there. Well, the free kick is given against John Collins. Now he's being held off by Alan Lawrence and he reacted by wrestling him to the ground. He's going to be booked for his trouble. I think that reflects the Collins frustration with the whole proceedings this afternoon.
Yeah, it's a little bit silly, but it's a little bit of skirmish there. He gets involved in that challenge. The ball gets knocked back in. And really, John's trying to wrestle his way back into that. And really, it's maybe just an indication of how frustrated he's been.
Well, they just got him a book. John Collins joining Mark McNally of Celtic. Paul Jack and Kenny Black of Airdrie. That's Grant.
Airdrie won it back, looking very hungry again.
McNally at full stretch. That's O'Donnell. Jimmy Sandison advancing to the edge of the penalty area for a shooting chance for Airdrie. As the throw is taken short here to Tony Smith. Vata's playing as a full one. This is Black. Goes to Airdrie. Here's Lawrence. The ball was not out of play. It is now though. A throw it is to Celtic. Tense Airdrie supporters. Still in with a chance though, without question. So approaching the final corner out of the match. Airdrie with this remarkable cup record this season. They've lost 1 out of 13 cup ties so far this season, and that was in penalties against Ray Rovers in the World Cup semi-final. So their resilience has been well established. Vata plays it long. Faulkner comes to meet it. McLaughlin would have been offside for sure had that been flicked on. Stewart looking for Smith. Cover provided by McNally for Celtic. No qualms about that hefty clearance. And the ball taking some time to come back from the Celtic supporters. Well, we don't really like to see the cup won in real style, these Celtic fans, but winning it is more important. They're certainly not doing the team any favours, because obviously the referee is going to add time on for the end of the match, and that's the last thing. If this game is going to be as tight as it is just now, that's the last thing that Celtic need. There's Kenny Black with the throw. Lawrence across the 6-yard box, well blocked by McKinlay. There's Black again. Collins back defending. Jack collects for Airdrie. Sandison. Supported again by Jack. Blocked by Paul McStay. Celtic, the team now doing the chasing to try to get possession back. Airdrie again enjoying a good spell of possession. Nowhere to go for Paul McStay. That's Boyle. McNally's header straight back to Jack. O'Donnell forcing it forward towards Faulkner. Here O'Donnell again. Well supported on the right by Vata. Paul McStay dropping deep to take a pass. That's given away by Vata. It's a wasted cross. Celtic liable to go back under pressure again, but Peter Grant has possession. That's too long on the ball, but gets it back to find McLaughlin. Well, every pass from Grant there appeared to put McLaughlin in more trouble. He's won it back. Foul twice there. Well, no. The referee confusing people somewhat for the signal. Pointed up the Airdrie way initially, but now it is taken by Celtic. Here's John Collins. Well, that sums up his afternoon so far. Boyd's back heel is effective once again. This is McKinlay. Nowhere to go for Collins. Great leap there by Cooper. Moving across in front of McNally. Grant turned well. Caught from the rear by Black. He played the ball forward. He's in trouble this time. Peter Grant. The referee will allow attention for Grant. He was caught after the ball had gone by Kenny Black, and that right knee causing trouble again. Well, that's Kenny Black was involved in that, trying to make a challenge as the pass was being released by Grant.
Yeah, the situation is Peter Grant lets the ball running. Really kind of buckets. This challenge here that makes all the difference, and certainly the ball's well away there, and really Kenny Black is living very, very dangerously.
See a protector scrapping there on that right knee of Peter Grant. That's the one which almost cost him a place in the final. We're very anxious to see this out. Both substitutes outfield have been committed. Well, the Celtic supporters will be delighted to celebrate a cup win if the score stays the same, even although the performance has been less than attractive or convincing. Remains on the field. It's a throw to Celtic. Jack was caught by McLaughlin. Another free kick. Well, referee Morton has perhaps been the busiest man in the field this afternoon. Chase for Willie Faulkner. John Collins to Grant. McNally playing that toward the corner, allowing Faulkner to chase again. Hay gets there first. Well, Faulkner hoping for a corner kick. There's an Airdrie throw. Tough task for Graham Hay, initially against Pierre Van Hooijdonk, then against Willie Faulkner. Looks as though Airdrie will make their second substitution any minute now. Here's Andy Smith. Jim McIntyre preparing to come on. So last throw of the dice from Alec MacDonald, because McIntyre's a striker, and they're going to withdraw a defender to bring on a striker. Graham Hay will be the player withdrawn. Well, he certainly has battled manfully in the Airdrie cause this afternoon, beaten by Pierre van Hooijdonk for that high ball from McKinlay, from which Celtic scored the only goal of the match so far. So now living a little more dangerously defensively with Jim McIntyre on for Graham Hay. Throw taken by Vata. There's Andy Smith. So some reorganisation for Airdrie. Tony Smith has dropped deeper into the left back position, attacking left back with McIntyre ahead of him. Free kick is given against Celtic. Vata penalised for that challenge on Jim McIntyre. He used to be with Bristol City, celebrated his 23rd birthday on Wednesday. A chance for Airdrie without question from the set piece. Still 1-0 to Celtic. The free kick is sent in. Comes to no harm there. Appeals for handball there for the Airdrie players. Peter McNally deliberate about that. Black tackling strongly. Here's Tom Boyd. Hasn't been upfield in the match so far. McLaughlin with Boyd. Over on the far side, there's Phil O'Donnell. Here's Faulkner. O'Donnell screaming for the ball in space on the right. Goes to McLaughlin. And once again, Brian McLaughlin's cross not good enough for Celtic. Here's Lawrence in behind McNally. A chance for Airdrie. In goes Peter Grant. Excellent play by Grant. He's injured again. Clearance there by McNally. Grant is in trouble this time. It's out for the throw and the referee will allow treatment, I'm sure. Mark McNally and Peter Grant requiring attention. Grant clearly in considerable pain.
It's good defending in actual fact, because there's just an indication that Alan Lawrence is going to get clear there. Peter Grant puts in a good challenge, and what he's damaged I'm not entirely sure, but it must be that knee of his, and it couldn't possibly be fully fit. You can see it from a different angle. Alan Lawrence is much hit the box, and timing of the tackle is excellent. Takes the ball clearly and cleanly.
So a long hold up once again. This game really could go on all afternoon without extra time. So Peter Grant recovers. He has now been named the Tennent's man of the match for his performance this afternoon. Very influential for Celtic. So the throw will be taken by Sandy Stewart here on this near side for Airdrie. There are 5 minutes remaining plus injury time, and that could be almost indefinite. Here's Kenny Black, pressurised by O'Donnell, put up by O'Donnell, free kick to Airdrie. Well, he thought that, upsetting the Airdrie defenders by wasting some time there. So here's Sandison. Now mistimed there by Steve Cooper. McNally ducked to let the ball go behind for the goal kick. So Celtic easing their way in uncertain fashion to the Tennent's Scottish Cup. The supporters wait anxiously there, taking nothing for granted, I'm sure, at this stage. But remember, the Coca-Cola Cup looked to be won until Gordon Yale scored right over 6 minutes from the end. Hit flick on. Cross comes Sandison, getting the ball forward early. Well, the Celtic supporters now building up some vocal momentum here.
clearly risking celebrating a little bit prematurely, and certainly Airdrie not showing many signs that they can find a way through. Jack's header was Grant. Peter Grant limping quite heavily now, clearly has tested that knee to the full. And Hurley-Burley of the cup final, showing some signs of wear. McKinlay's long ball forward, there's offside against Faulkner. Well, it's Airdrie showing all the audience here. Like McDonald looks on anxiously here. Time fast running out for his team. Trying to become the first non-top division team to win the cup since 1938. These five did that. Steve Cooper trying very hard indeed to win as many balls in the air in the box as he can, looking for flick-ons and for support from quick men around him. Well, that's the story of the cup final so far. All the time rapidly running out for Airdrie. The noise you hear now comes from Celtic supporters. Kenny Black, is there to be another twist in the tail before the end? McStay under severe pressure there from Cooper. Clearly a free kick to Celtic.
Yeah, it's an astonishing tussle this. Steve Cooper's trying desperately to get in there, and Paul McStay's right in the middle of that, pig in the middle.
Faulkner gets up well again. Faulkner trying to release McLaughlin, and a great block by Martin. That would have settled it. Well, he had very little to do in the second half in particular, but he did well to block the shot from Faulkner.
Yeah, it almost looked here as though Brian McLaughlin won't end of it. When it comes out, Willie Faulkner looks up quickly, doesn't have to test the goalkeeper there, and good save by John Martin. Kept his side in for hope.
John Collins with the corner. Very few in the box for that. Airdrie leaving three men upfield all the time now. McNally did well to halt Lawrence. Here's Andy Smith. Goes wide here from McIntyre. Decision goes Airdrie's way. The throw. There's McIntyre again. Goal kick's been given. Relief for the Celtic defence. And Tommy Barnes looks on. Jimmy Steele checks his watch. He'll know now that we're just about to go into stoppage time. But there could be a great deal of that though. Tommy Barnes can hardly wait and hardly watch. Here's Faulkner. Chase here for Phil O'Donnell, won't reach that, so Airdrie now trying to get the ball back into play quickly. John Martin retrieves. We're into stoppage time. It could be as much as 5 minutes of that if the referee chooses to allow it all to be added on. Checking with his linesman to see if the 90 minutes are over, which they are. Smith to Black. Cooper beaten by McNally. Here's Paul McStay. Airdrie thin at the back. Unusually so. This is McLaughlin. He'll take this for runner's respect. Heading for the corner flag. Well, he could be certain there would be a very stern challenge imposed on him there, as it was by Kenny Black. Throw it is, rather than a corner, I think. Throw back to Vata. Celtic keeping the ball in the corner. There's McStay. Wrestling match there. This time the throw goes to Airdrie. Sandison in a hurry. Very difficult pass that for Smith to take.
Grant lost it out of play. Well, Celtic thinking only now, seeing a time out for victory. No further thoughts of a second goal, I'm sure. Sea of green and white all around Hampden, waiting for that final whistle. Jack with Vata. Here's John Martin, trying to get some distance here. Didn't really succeed. Steve Cooper's lost his boot there. Smith tackled by McStay. Could be a late opportunity here for Airdrie. So Jimmy Boyle with the throw, the 3rd minute of stoppage time. That's awkward. Behind to the corner. Still more pressure for the Celtic defence. Can Airdrie save the final and take us to extra time? There won't be many more opportunities than this. Here's Kenny Black. Bonner's in trouble at the far post, and that's a goal kick. Relief you hear around the stadium from the Celtic supporters. Well, referee Les Mottram has the destination, the cup really in his hands now, because he could end the match at any time and terminate the 6-year drought for Celtic. Jack with Vata. Here's McIntyre. The final whistle goes! Celtic have won the 10th Scottish Cup. Tommy Bonds goes straight to Alec MacDonald. It certainly wasn't a classy, distinguished performance, but that doesn't matter to Paul McStay. Look at the joy on the captain's face. It's been a tough, grinding performance all the way through, but Celtic have achieved their target, which was victory this afternoon. They've won the 10th Scottish Cup. They're in Europe next season, and these supporters are all set to celebrate.
Yeah, it was a convincing performance, but it's all down to that good early start to Celtic, and that tremendous goal by Van Hooijdonk. But look at those supporters. They don't care how it was won. They've won the cup and they're going to celebrate. And at the end of the day, I think that really Celtic probably edged it simply because of that good and positive start. But unconvincing performance, however much it was. Those players, those supporters and the management team are entitled to enjoy themselves tonight.
So the handshakes on the pitch there reflect the level of sportsmanship around, and the Celtic players show their relief in the ranks. They made the breakthrough. It may well be the crucial breakthrough. Tommy Bonds reflects on the Scottish Cup win of 1965 when Billy McNeil headed the winning goal, setting Celtic up for a terrific run. Pierre Van Hooijdonk enjoying the spirit of the moment without question. John Martin goes round the Celtic players with congratulations. They certainly made Celtic battle all the way. It was never easy. John Martin beaten just once by Pierre Van Hooijdonk. Superb header. So there's Tony Mowbray on to celebrate. A lot of the Celtic squad players join in. Charlie Nicholas is there. And down on the track, Rob McLean.
The long 6-year wait for a trophy is over. How are you feeling?
Well, I'm absolutely delighted for the people that support us. You can see them all around us here, and that's what Celtic Football Club's all about. We're only here as people who do a job for them. They're the guys that pay the money, they pay the wages, and we're their servants, and I'm absolutely delighted for them.
What did you think about the quality of the game?
I thought Airdrie played well in the game, competed very well and done what they were good at. I didn't think we played well at all, but I think, to be fair, we're under a hell of a lot more pressure than Airdrie were.
What now, Tommy? Obviously you look at this and winning one trophy doesn't cover up your assessment of the whole season.
Well, what now? I'll go and give Peter Grant a good kiss, because I thought he was absolutely unbelievable today, and I don't know what they've done without him today. He was absolutely magnificent, and for him more than him, I'm absolutely delighted. And for our captain McStay, because he's had a particularly hard time, I'm just so thrilled for him.
And hopefully 1 or 2 checks might be written over the summer.
Well, we know the guys we want, and we'll go and do our business now and get them in here.
Well done, Tommy.
Thanks very much.
For the captain there, Paul McStay, hugged by Charlie Nicholas. It's an ambition he was trying to achieve before long, was to hold a cup aloft. He'll have that opportunity in a few moments from now. But for the moment, these Celtic players savour the moment on the pitch. The supporters stay there waiting for the trophy to be presented. And the runners-up there wait for the moment when they're called forward to collect their medals. Solemn faces, but they've contributed to a very tough final. But Celtic had the battle very hard to win, and only their second cup defeat in 14 matches this season. Jimmy Sandison leads the team up. They hope that we'd like the cup. It isn't for that purpose, it's simply to collect the runners-up medal. So the typically solemn faces of the runners-up as they go forward. Alan Lawrence caused Celtic lots of problems in the match with his space up front. Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Kent waits there, applauding Airdrie forward to collect their medals. Angus Meldrum on the left of the picture, the managing director of Tennant Caledonian Breweries, the sponsors. So Jimmy Sandison receives his runners-up medal and a kiss from Her Royal Highness. As the players go through, not too many smiles as you would imagine. They've lost a cup final they thought they could win. Moment of disappointment, but they have contributed hugely this season in the fabric of Scottish football. The semi-final of the Coca-Cola Cup, a challenge for promotion in the First Division. They won the B&Q Cup, runners-up in the Tennant Scottish Cup. Kenny Black is his second runners-up medal there. Alan Lawrence goes through. Paul Jack, reserve goalkeeper, Willie McCulloch. And now the stage is clear for the winners. And now you'll see totally different expressions and faces. Tommy Burns among his players there. Brian O'Neill unfit to play. Simon Donnelly gets a big hug from the manager. Peter Grant, the man, Tommy Burns, rates so highly, is congratulated for his contribution. The man of the match, named by the sponsors, Tennants, tears on his face, but not on the face of Paul McStay. He has a quiet smile of satisfaction as he makes his way forward, blows a kiss to the stand, going to collect the Tennant Scottish Cup decked with these green and white ribbons, and wait for the roar when this is held aloft to the Celtic supporters. So it's a long way up as he's congratulated by so many people on the way. The moment Paul McStay's been waiting for, the presentation of the Tennant Scottish Cup to Paul McStay. And Tommy Burns savoured the moment like all the supporters all around. They've waited 6 long years for this. And it's Paul McStay's 4th winner's medal, but clearly one which means so much to him. A happy man, without question. John Collins goes through. Willie Vata. Bill O'Donnell's been there before in Motherwell colours, and so too is Tom Boyle. In fact, he held that trophy aloft as captain of Motherwell in '91. Mark McNally, a late call-up to the final. It's a fairy tale for him. Through there to Rudy Vata, and then young Simon Donnelly, the youngest player in the side, and Brian McLaughlin. Another moment he'll never forget. And towards the end, Peter Grant gets a special cheer from the Celtic supporters for his contribution. And there's the goal scorer, Pierre van Hooijdonk, to leave the field before half-time. Tosh McKinlay too enjoys the moment behind him. On the substitute goalkeeper, Gordon Marshall is there. There's Pat Bonner, his 5th final, his 3rd winner's medal. He was freed a year ago, remember, by Lou McCarry when he was manager of Celtic, and then was brought back to Celtic Park by Tommy Burns. He'll take the plinth also. So, packed there as he comes down the steps. Tommy Burns waiting there to receive that trophy. Final of the Coca-Cola Cup, the winner of the Tennant Scottish Cup. And the players back now to the field as Peter Grant is presented with his Man of the Match award. Being presented down below us right now. Peter Grant, the scarf round his neck, as Paul McStay has. So Tommy Barnes showing the relief of winning a trophy in his first season as Celtic manager. So the Royal Highness Duchess of Kent has completed her task as the photographers gather around the 10th Scottish Cup winners for the photograph session. Peter Grant joins in. Well, the story told there, the 10th Scottish Cup winners of 1995. Andy Walker there also. The Scottish Cup held aloft there by these triumphant Celtic players. The manager's joy is plain for all to see. And now the lap of honour begins. The players head off there to salute their supporters. Rudy Vata there, the Albanian, with Paul McStay. Photographers still want more opportunities. Well, the relief and joy in the face of Paul McStay tells its own story. Such an important player for so long. A record-breaking cap winner among Celtic players.
Paul, how is it feeling?
Absolutely unbelievable. It's something I've dreamed about for the last 5-6 years. We fought hard and long, eventually won it. Maybe not a great performance today, but over the piece we probably deserved the winner today, definitely.
And you've suffered more than most in terms of the long wait.
I think we've all suffered. The fans have suffered, I've suffered, players have suffered. City's been long overdue. I think we're going to enjoy tonight. Hopefully it's beginning to good things now, but just enjoy the day anyway.
John Collins, not the most beautiful of games possibly, but the result right for Celtic in the end.
The result was terrific, but as you say, we're a little disappointed we're not putting a great show, but at the end of the day, we won the cup, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters for these people in France.
Did you think you'd maybe knocked in number 2 with a diving header?
Yeah, I probably should have picked it back there, but it's history now.
The Celtic fans would like to know, will you be here next season? It's about every other week you're linked with another club.
Yeah, that's speculation. I've got a year of my contract, but today's not about John Collins, it's about the team and a victory.
Would you like to be part of this, progressing with Tommy Burns?
Without doubt. Thank you.
Pierre, how did it feel? You didn't last too much of the game, but you got the all-important goal.
Yeah, it's a fantastic feeling, and yeah, this when you see the supporters and you see the emotion, and you know where you play football for, and it's magic.
Tell me about the goal. What do you recall of it?
It was a cross from the left-hand side, and yeah, I came before my man, and yeah, I had it well.
As easy as that?
Yes.
And are you looking forward to getting more reinforcements brought in during the summer, with maybe some more top quality players coming in to help you out?
Yeah, of course. I think the manager looks for a few top quality players, and yeah, we need them to be in a big club in Europe, and that's what we want.
What do you think of these supporters?
Yeah. For me, there are no bigger supporters than this one.
Enjoy your night.
Yeah,
well done.
Thank you very much.
So Charlie Nicholas there going round to enjoy the celebrations with these Celtic players. Not one Celtic supporter, I'm sure, has left the stadium. Tommy Barnes looking up for faces in the stand, waving down some others to join. Willie McStay there walking towards the camera. Paul McStay's brother, youth coach at Celtic Park, who was in the side in 1985 with Paul, which won the Scottish Cup. And a very important contribution made this season by Billy Stark, the Celtic assistant manager. So highly respected, and in that management team with Tommy Barnes. Well, I don't know where the Mexican hat came from for Rudy Vata. Close up with the trophy for these Celtic supporters. Well,
The singing goes on around the stadium. Well, Billy, I mean, you've been in this position many times. There seems to be an incredible sense of relief among these players.
Well, I sense a similarity to way back in '65 when we won it against Dunfermline, and I think it was just absolute relief that once again something was happening. And if you look at these fans, you look at these players, they don't really care that the performance wasn't brilliant. They won the cup, they're going to celebrate. They've got a couple of months to think about next season, and tonight's going to be a night of enjoyment for them.
So the faces there in the stands showing the pleasure resulting from this 10th Scottish Cup win by Celtic. And it's clear that even players have enjoyed a lot of success, like Charlie Nicholas there. It's still a moment to be savoured. They don't come along often enough for these players. Peter Grant thought, I'm sure, for a long time in the last fortnight he wouldn't be on the field, but he has been able to play and win the Man of the Match award. Well, supporters found his way through the cordon of support of stewards. Another one there trying to get towards Peter Grant. The stewards and police working hard to keep fans away. Tony Mowbray there, decked in a sea of Celtic scarves. Well, now the ladies being allowed down now to join in the celebrations. Wives and girlfriends are there. A very young fan, and may well be a member of the Burns family, I suspect. I wonder if Tony Mowbray can have any more scars on his neck. Paul McStay reluctant to let that cup go. Waited a long time to hold it aloft as the captain of Celtic. Now coming to the main stand, the south stand at Hampden, and going towards the disabled supporters. And now he will part with the cup. So the Celtic players, I'm sure, will take considerable time here to enhance the occasion for these supporters in their wheelchairs. All the Celtic players going along the line there, the youngsters also. There'll be no rush about this part of the proceedings from these Celtic players. Always a feature of finals like this, to take time. Well, you can see the imbalance too in the supports, because the Celtic supporters here almost filling the stadium still. So Paul McStay showing the cup to the supporters there, coming along the line there and taking time out here to the great credit to ensure that these supporters have a close-up of the cup and meet their heroes. And Tommy Buns there being congratulated. So Mark McNally there could scarcely believe he would play in the cup final after being out of the side for 3 months. He played a sub in a recent match but didn't get on and hasn't been involved too often since Brian O'Neill's partnership with Tom Boyd developed in central defence. Photographer still waiting and still taking photographs there of the players with these supporters. And there's the sea of green and white around Hampden, and I suspect they might stay here all night if the players would stay. Well, these scenes reflecting the joy and relief in the Celtic ranks about breaking this hoodoo of 6 years and getting their hands on a trophy again. Held aloft once again Mark McNally now has his chance as he holds the trophy aloft over the rivers. All ladies have appeared down on the track below us here. There's Willie McStay with Mark McNally. He knows the feeling too, having been the accompanying side. Same feeling with the Motherwell side of 1991. Pierre van Hooijdonk is there also, the man who scored the winning goal. It's Celtic who are enjoying the occasion to the full now. They've won the Tennis Scottish Cup with a grinding performance against a dogged Airdrie side, and the celebrations will go on for some time.
Yes, incredible outpourings of emotion from the Celtic fans. We're going to celebrate, they're singing. Not one has moved since the final whistle blew, and all the pent-up frustration of 6 years without a trophy finally let loose in a great outpouring of joy. And one has to feel for them, Alec. It's been a long time, and today it has all come good at last.
Yep, wasn't a good game, as everybody has, I think, said, but you know, Celtic won't be worried about that. I think there's 3 reasons why they won the cup today. The whirlwind start, first 10 minutes, the solid defensive display, and a great performance from Peter Grant. Thoroughly deserving, he's man of the match, surely they're going to get thoroughly deserving the man of the match award. They're all unanimous in that.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Willie, you'd obviously go along with that. For a player who 2 weeks ago looked as if he had no chance of playing, he was quite immense, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's made that spot his own, just sitting in front of the back four, and as the game progressed, then he became more and more involved in it, because really Celtic had to defend well in the second half. I looked at Boyd and McNally before the game, and I questioned whether they would put up a performance and get an understanding quickly enough to see them through. As the game went on, then they grew more and more in confidence, and they had to deal with a lot of high balls into the box in the second half, and they dealt very well with it. They were stalwarts, and Celtic defended well in the second half, but they were pushed back, and you know, frankly, I think you've got to talk about Airdrie. And I mean, they've got, that's one thing you can say about them. A lot of them, they can walk away from Hampden with their heads held high, because they put an awful lot into that game. It's not all about cup finals. There's a long road to a cup final. I'm sure Celtic will be disappointed in their performance, but I watched them against Hibs in the semi-final, and they were superb. So one perhaps balances out the other, and it's all these games that goes down to making Celtic tenants Scottish Cup finalists and winners.
Obviously Celtic will enjoy the celebrations, but Alec, Airdrie dominated that second half, didn't they?
They did. It's incredible to think that we're sitting here watching Celtic camping in their own half and holding out, really. But you know, as Willie said, they dealt really with the high balls. Paquet lost one in the second half, but other than that, I felt that, you know, Airdrie didn't really hurt them behind the Celtic defence as maybe they would have wanted to. But it was a great performance by Airdrie, and they weren't disgraced by anyone. I mean, it's probably the better side in the second half. But
well, let's see again the goal which has won this 1995 Tennant Scottish Cup. Peter Grant there was the man of the match, but here's the goal. It was Tosh McKinlay's cross from the left, and Pierre van Hooijdonk repaid the transfer fee with that one header after 9 minutes, and it was in many ways a goal fit to win a cup final, really.
Yeah, I mean, he gets up really well. I think his initial movement away from the ball to start with allows him the momentum to come through and over the top of Hay and get a powerful header down into the corner. But a very good ball again, you know, from the left-hand side of the park, worked in, and a very good header, really leaving Martin not too much chance. Well, he's not too far away from it when you see it from that angle, but a very good goal and one fitting of winning the trophy.
And the moments that Paul McStay had waited so long for, he's a friend and Scotland teammate of yours, Alec. You obviously will feel for Paul at a moment like this.
Well, watching the celebrations of the Celtic lads, been there before, and it's one of the best feelings in the world, winning a cup, and Paul's got his hands in the trophy at last, thoroughly deserved.
And there he is, the big Dutchman who now knows what Scottish football is all about, and what Celtic is all about, and what those fans are all about. They really have been tremendous today. It's now something like 25 minutes since the final whistle blew, and not one has moved, and they may not move for a while yet. At last, Celtic have their trophy.